Okay, so second day of this, but now we're going into nonlinear. So they're not going to be just straight lines. On this first equation, it's cubic function. So we know that that cubic function could turn 2 times. So it probably is going to look something like this. Then you have a line, and it looks like the line is going down. So you have different options. It could cross 1 time. It could cross... there's a way where it could cross 2 times if I was going a different direction maybe. It could cross 3 times. So, I mean, you're going to have at least one answer though, because this polynomial is going off in both directions. So they will cross at least 1 time. But kind of use the same ideas as yesterday. You've got your elimination, you've got your substitution. There's different ways to work these problems out. So to me, the easiest thing to do on this one, since they're both equal y, just set these two equal to each other. So if I set these two equal to each other, I'm going to have x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4 equals negative 2x plus 4. Okay, and remember the whole idea is just to find where these two lines intersect. So I would get everything to one side since there are cubes going on. So we have x cubed minus 3x squared. 2x is going to come over here, so plus 2x. And then I would have nothing after that, no constant, because those 4's are going to cancel, so it's just going to equal 0. So I'm going to factor this, pull out an x, so I have x squared minus 3x plus 2. This right here is going to give us at least one answer. So it's going to cross at least 1 time. Now, if this doesn't factor, then you will have to do quadratic formula. So let's factor this. So we've got x and x. It has to be minus 2 minus 1. So that would give you negative 3 in the middle, multiply to give you positive 2. So it will cross at 2 and at 1. So we are going to have 3 answers. So now we have to find those 3 y coordinates. So remember, you're going to have to take each one of these and plug them in. And I would absolutely go with that bottom one right there. If I plug in 0, then you're going to be left with 4. So one of your answers is 0, 4. Okay, then I'm going to go plug in 2. If I plug in a 2 right there, you're going to have negative 4 plus 4. So we plugged in 2 and we got 0. And then if I plug in 1, I'm going to have negative 2 times 1, so negative 2 plus 4. And we plugged in 1 for the x, and that y coordinate would be positive 2. So there are your 3 solutions. And again, go graph that in your calculator. Y's already by itself, and you can check these answers. Okay? On the second one, you have a y squared. So we know x squared opens up and down. When y squared, this is going to start opening left and right. So this is actually going to be a parabola opening to the right. If it was a negative y squared, it would open to the left. Then we have another line. Okay, but again, there's different ways you can do this. So it does not matter how you choose to do it. If you do it correctly, it's going to be the same result. So my suggestion would be, we know that x is y squared, so I'm going to take this equation, this bottom one, and I'm just going to rewrite it. But instead of using x, I'm going to plug in y squared. And all I've done is just a substitution. Now I have an equation with just y's. So I'm going to bring that y over here and make it a positive y squared. Keep this y here. Bring my 1 over, plus 1 equals 0. And now I'm going to try to factor. And here's the thing. I know this won't factor because 1 and 1 don't give me 1 in the middle. So my only other option would be to do quadratic formula. So I would have negative 1 plus and minus square root. B squared is 1 minus 4 times A is 1, C is 1, all over 2. Okay? So now I'm at -1 plus and minus square root. This would be 1 minus 4, which is -3, and I'm going to stop because that right there is imaginary. So here's what this tells me. Since I'm not getting a real answer, these aren't going to touch. So my answer would be no solution. Okay, and we're going to look at this in the calculator. But again, all I did was a form of substitution. I rewrote this second equation, but instead of putting x, I put a y squared. That way I got one equation with just one variable in it. Okay, now putting this one in the calculator, you have to be careful when that y is squared. Because when I get y by itself, I'm going to square root both sides. So you're going to have a plus and minus square root of x. So when you put that in the calculator, you're going to have to put that in y1 and y2. So there's positive square root of x. There's negative square root of x. And then the last one is negative x plus or minus 1. And so then there's your parabola. And there's your line, and you can see they do not intersect. Okay, they do not intersect. All right, so let's look at one more problem together. Okay, on this one, you have a line, just a straight line, and this one, we're going to get more into this next semester, but you did this in geometry. This is a circle. So if I have a circle and a line, they could have two solutions, they could have one solution, or they could have no solutions. So there's my possibility for answers. Okay, so when I work this one out, again, there's different ways you could do this. Elimination will not work though, because this is an x and this is an x squared. They're not alike. Same thing here. This is a y, this is a y squared. They're not alike. So my advice, since elimination would not work on this, is I would go get this y by itself. So I'm going to rewrite that and put that down here. So y equals -5 plus 2x. Okay, or I could say 2x minus 5, either one. Now, I'm going to go rewrite that in this bottom equation. And I'm going to go take this and substitute it in right there. So I would have x squared plus 2x minus 5 squared equals 25. So all I've done is a form of substitution. Remember, that's y squared, and we just said y was 2x minus 5. So now I'm going to solve. So let's see, I'm going to do some math for you here. This is going to be 4x squared minus 20x plus 25, and that just came from boxing this, equals 25. Okay, so now we simplify. We have 5x squared minus 20x. Now, these 25s are going to cancel, and I'm left with 0. And now we factor. So I'm going to pull out a 5x. If I pull out a 5x, I'm left with x minus 4. So I'm going to get an answer from this and an answer from this. My x's are 0 and positive 4. So this line will cross this circle 2 times. So now I need to go take these and I need to go plug them in. Now I've got 1, 2, 3 different equations. I'm trying to find y though, so I would use this one right here. So when x is 0, I'm going to go plug 0 in right here, and y is -5. When x is 4, I'm going to go plug it in. 2 times 4 is 8, minus 5 is 3. So there's my 2 points. Okay? Again, I can check this in the calculator, but you would have to get the y by itself. So on this top equation, it would be -5 plus 2x, or again, you could put 2x minus 5, either one. Now this next one I'm going to have to split up. We're going to have to bring the x squared over here, so it'd be 25 minus x squared, but then we would have to square root it. And remember, when you square root, it's going to be a plus and a minus. So it's going to look like that. And now when I graph that, I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can see where they're going to intersect. Okay, it's kind of faint, but you can see they're going to intersect here and here. Now you have to be careful when you're doing your second trace number 5. My cursor is on the blue line. I'm going to go find this intersection first, so I'm going to hit enter. It jumps to the red, which I want, so I'm going to hit enter, enter again, and there's my intersection of 4, 3. Okay, when I go find the other intersection, I want the blue line and the black line, so I'm going to arrow closer to that and hit enter. But my cursor jumped to the red line, and I don't want it on the red line, I want it on the black, so just arrow down, hit enter again, enter, and then there's your other intersection. And remember, that is just 0. That is scientific notation. That is 0. Okay? If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. You have 5 questions on Schoology posted.